One thing after another. Recording this 4:58 p.m. on June 30th, 2022 Eastern. Well, I guess the date isn't really Eastern, it's universal, but the time is Eastern. And speaking of Eastern, looking to my east when I was walking home, it's been an eventful 10 days. I haven't recorded a pod in over a week and a half, essentially. Well, not a week and a half, but yeah, actually probably a week and a half. Because your boy's car was in the shop. And as a result, your boy had to walk to work and home for 9 to 10 straight days. Which was all fine until the last day that I had to walk late at night, walking home. And close to where I live, there's this little boulevard area. And this little boulevard area has a bunch of warehouses, has a Kroger. It's just basically, it's a lot of warehouses. We all know, it's like every city has one of those. So I'm walking home, probably about midnight-ish. And as I'm walking, I see this thing strolling just casually in the middle of the street. It just like, do. And at first I'm like, wow, that's a pretty, who let the dogs out? And, boy, when I realized it was a coyote, oh, the coyote got ugly. So yeah, as I was walking, it was probably at least 20 feet ahead of me. I don't know what to do when you see wild animals in person. And it was just me. No cars in it, just me. And it's strolling. And it's like looking with its tongue out a little bit. It kind of reminded me of the Lion King with the hyenas. With all the singing. Who gonna be king? And I was the king of being a pussy in the moment. But as I was walking, and I stop in my track, I literally turn side. I basically do what you hear about when you see a bear. And they say, oh, they're actually, these animals, they're more scared of you than you are of them. It's like, you know what? I call bullshit. Because you should have felt what I felt in that moment. There's no way that coyote was more scared of me than I was of him. Now, luckily, at least I don't think he saw me. Because I stopped and stayed still. And he just kept walking and walking, looking side to side. I got to give the coyotes credit. They actually check more for cars and things than actual humans that you see these days. They actually look both ways and they constantly look back and forth. Better than most pedestrians who feel entitled. I appreciate that's why you don't see coyotes getting hit. You don't see many dead coyotes on the fucking street. Because you know what? They got to keep their head on a swivel. They got to pivot. And, but when I was sitting still. And I didn't move for like 40 seconds. It felt like 18 fucking minutes. Because I'm like, my heart's beating. Feeling your heartbeat. I'm like the new abortion bill. Oh, we'll get to that in a second. But he was just rowing the wave of the road. That was bad. But yeah, it's this coyote just walking, and I stood still. And that whole notion they're scared of you more than them, there's no way. Because I was scared as fuck. This whole notion that these animals are more scared of you. I feel like that's just a mechanism to make people feel like actual more empathetic towards animals as a way to connect. Because you know what? They're just more, they're God's creatures like us. It's like, yeah, you know what, man. I'm not saying coyotes, but you know what? Some things were just made to be nuisances. All right. I know people's like, well, actually, mosquitoes, they actually kill this, and roaches. It's like, you know what? And they're just some pointless animals, insects, and humans, I guess, to a certain extent. It's funny, like, all humans matter until, you need to have the baby. Oh, it's weird how people actually have more empathy, and they feel more sad when they see a dead animal on the road, but not when, their best friend kills their baby. I'm not saying one's right and one's wrong. I'm just saying I find it pretty. Like, you really think when the coyote, when it sees a human get run over by a truck, is sitting there like, oh my God, compared to when a peer coyote gets run over by a truck. I'm pretty sure when the peer coyote gets run by a truck, they're like, ah. When they see a human, they're not like, oh my God. They're like, damn. But yeah, no, I was scared as fuck. I was scared shitless. I stood still, and I was like, if it starts charging, I don't even know what to do. Because you know what? I was shirtless. So if it would have bit me, it would have went right straight through the skin, straight through the foreskin. And I am for skin circumcision. But yeah, it was scary shit. And I think it's fair to say the coyote, it just kept going across, and it just went into this random truck area warehouse. Luckily, no one was working. And I'm just like, oh, that's how this shit goes. Maybe it saw me, maybe it didn't. Maybe it's just like, damn, shit's sad for you. But yeah, welcome to episode 155 of the Off and Beat podcast with Clint Nelson. I am your host, Clint Nelson. Don't forget to like, follow, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell on all apps. But most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, suck some titties and watch out for the coyotes out there. My feet are swell. No, that's not a foot fetish. No, like literally my feet are swollen like a motherfucker for walking 10 straight days, 7 to 8 miles a fucking day. And I even wore 2 pairs of socks. You know, I feel for people that have to, look, I used to have to walk to work and shit. But I don't know, maybe I have better feet, maybe I have better shoes, better socks. I don't know. But this time around, it was cool for a while. It was fun. I had a little fling with the road with my shoes. And after a while, shit got old. It got tired of my shit. It got tired of, me putting the heel down first. And at a certain point, I really thought I was going to pop my Achilles heel. Oh, let that heel in your ears. Oh, wheeling and dealing. And my car was wheeling in the shop for fucking 10 straight days just for some fucking broken wires. Nothing crazy. My car just wouldn't start. So I got it towed. Thinking like, all right, couple days, whatever they got to do, find out. Quick fix, whatever. It took a miscommunication, apparently. Of, hey, your car starts. It's like, that's interesting because when I got towed, it didn't. But okay. So I went up there and it started, but nothing on the dashboard. And then made a dash back to them like, hey, yeah, but there's nothing on the dashboard. I can't see how fast I'm driving. Can't see how much gas I have. I can't see anything of importance. And they're like, oh, okay, well, we'll look more into it. I'm like, okay. Then they happen to not be open on the weekends. So that was another couple days. Couldn't even get a look at it. So the next week comes. They're like, hey, so we got it started. And I'm like, okay. Is the stuff on the dashboard good? They're like, yeah, it should be. I'm like, well, is it? And they're like, no. I'm like, all right, well, how about you see what the fuck is going on? And they finally got to it, found some broken wires, did diagnostic, whatever. It was only a couple $100 to get whatever fixed. It's not even about the money. It was just the fact that 10 fucking days without my vehicle. But I'll tell you what I learned. My feet hurt like a motherfucker. I could barely walk. I can barely walk this way. And I probably accumulate over the 70 miles of walking. I got a nice tan. And I'll tell you another thing though. As I was, I had a lot of time to think to myself, walking a couple hours a day to and from work. There was a point in time where I was kind of glad that it took so long to get my car fixed, that they were just procrastinating, whatever. They're like, who cares? Fuck this guy. It's like, yeah, fuck me. There were points in time where I was actually kind of glad I didn't have a vehicle, as weird as that fucking sounds. Now, I say this, I'm in reasonable walking distance. Like, it's not like a 4-hour walk. It's like an hour, 15, whatever minute walk. But there were times where I was actually like, you know what? This is actually a good thing. Because sometimes you get a little, I don't want to say the word complacent, but you do get a little, just like you're used to having a reasonable means to do simple shit. And you kind of take things for granted without realizing it. And it was kind of like a nice reset, like getting back to the basics. And as I had all this time to myself, I'm like, what's a great analogy for this? So I came up. This is like having my car in the shop and not wanting to have the responsibility of what comes with having a vehicle that you are required to pay monthly payments for, and insurance, and keep up to date and maintenance and make sure it's well fed with gas. It's kind of like a dad who's required to be there for his child. It's kind of like child support. The car payment is child support until like 6-7 years that you pay it off, except for child support. Multiply that by 3. The insurance is just like, hey, we should get this kid some health insurance just in case, shit hits the fan. He's probably not going to actually need it for years, if we keep him well fed. And then the gas is just like, hey, we got to feed him. We got to, do what we got to do, make sure he's alive, kind of like you would with the vehicle. Make sure he doesn't break down, And I felt like a person. I felt like a dad who just didn't want to be there for his baby. Didn't want to be there for his child. I was like, yeah, I just like put him in a 24-hour daycare, a very expensive 24-hour daycare for like 10 days. That would be like probably thousands of dollars, by the way. Don't do that if you don't have to. Daycare is really fucking expensive. And I guess I just got a pretty good deal. It was just basically like an excuse to not have to worry about something. It was like, I guess I'll see him this weekend. It's like, he's out with his friends. He went to some party with some kids at school. He got invited to Chuck E. Cheese. The mom took, he's with his grandma. What are you going to do? I'll get to him when I get to him. And I didn't feel really a need to check up on it. I only checked out every couple of days, like, hey, you guys have an update? And they'd be like, yeah, we're not sure. We're going to try to get a look at it. We're a little backed up. And I'm like, yeah, no problem. I'll just go get a pizza. It's like, I'm in no rush, Not like I'm burning my shoulders out here. And it was kind of like it was nice to actually not be responsible for something. Even though I technically am, it's all under my name, my credit and everything. If it like completely fucks up, it's on me. But the point is that it was nice to know what it feels like to be a deadbeat. And I was a deadbeat to my car. Because it could not even skip a beat. Because it couldn't even get on beat. You turn the ignition and it was fresh out of the kitchen. Because, it was not even overheating. The stove wouldn't even turn on. So, yeah, it was nice. It was kind of nice. But let me tell you what, man. Having the car back, it's awesome. I get to go back to the gym. I actually have a workout regimen. Speaking of working out regimen, I'll also tell you another thing. A added benefit that I never realized. I've lived where I live in the same complex for approximately 2+3 years, and I've never been to the gym they have by the pool area. Now, I'll tell you why, because typically I assume that the gym at these apartment complexes are like the ones at the bullshit sleep in, where it's just like 2 ellipticals, a treadmill, and like they'll have like some, I don't know, some bullshit, dumbass shake weight stuff. Like they don't have an actual workout room. It's just like a room with a fan. They have a TV on the HGTV, a couple treadmills and elliptical, but there's not really much to lift or nothing. And I'll tell you what, I was like, man, like doing these push-ups every day, doing these body weight shit in my room, like it was cool for a while, but I was like, I don't want to lose my gains. I worked so hard to get my body where it's at. Like I need to find a way to just maintain, at least keep it at a level until I'm able to get back in the gym and fully maximize. So I was like, fuck it. I want to see what we got going here. So I went to the gym and I was slightly surprised. They had advanced treadmills. They had bikes and ellipticals and all that shit. But they also had a cable cord section. They had a kettlebell area. They had some resistant bands, even though I have resistant bands. But they had a cable cord section and a pull-up area, a pull-down, a low bar inverter row, a chest press, a bicep curl, all this shit. Like I was like, wow, they actually got at least a okay setup to justify the $870 I pay a month to live in a, insect infested place. But hey, you know what? You get what you pay for. I assume the gym membership is like $90. I'm pretty sure if you look in the included fees, when you look in those included fees for what you pay in rent for places, you're surprised. Like, fuck you. Like, you're just throwing shit in here. It's like, for the advanced blinds, $35. It's like, it doesn't even blind out, the spiders I see outside. But it was a nice, I would have never found this out if my hand wasn't forced. And that's what I learned. I need to stop letting my hand be forced down her panties. But I'll tell you a negative, though, that happened. I left my workout shaker. Yes, my workout anytime shaker that I never actually paid for. I got as a free souvenir for paying for a $300 program that basically, by the way, these workout programs at these gyms are fucking scams. They're like, oh, well, we only have 30 minutes to give you to do these TRX work. And they do these, come on, guys, Zumba and all this shit. Like, there's not actually any lifting, losing weight. It's like, you can lose weight and cut fat in 25 minutes a day. It's like, I guess you can. But you know what you can cut more fat at? 45 minutes, an hour. It's like, no, but pay for us to go in this room so we can jump in place and, just do sprints on a fucking treadmill for 45 seconds. Like, this is cool, except when you don't need to charge $200 for you to tell me to do basic shit that honestly doesn't really advance your progression level. But whatever. You live and you learn. What you do for love for the ladies. But yeah. So, but hey, I got a free workout souvenir. Shaker. But, so I don't actually now think, do I even have a right to be mad for what I'm about to say? My fucking apartment complex, because I left it outside the gate one night, coming home from work, they threw it the fuck away. Because I woke up and I'm like, I was looking for my workout shaker to mix my shit in, and I couldn't find it, and I started doing the math like, wait a minute. I fucking left it outside the gate. So I go outside the gate and it's not there. So I go to the front leasing office and like, hey, did you guys, they want to return this to you guys? Or when the maintenance guy, the people that clean, their job and stuff, they clean the area, even though half the time they're still dog shit. And, it's funny how they don't clean the fucking KFC cups that are just hanging around the grass, or the dog shit, or the people's trash bags are just scoundreling around. But hey, this workout cup that someone obviously paid decent money for, that's an actual thing that's replenishable, reusable, and is actually worth the goddamn shit. That's worth more than some of the people's fucking socks and shoes that they wear around here. Did you guys happen to see that when you came to work this morning? Someone happened to return it? I don't know, maybe the Coyote came and it's like, got it, bitch. Has a nice handle. Because, once it goes in my body, it's too much to handle. And she's like, well, chances are the maintenance person, she also had a slight attitude. Fuck that bitch. I think it's Angie. Oh, Angie, you're on my list of bitches. I want to crank that pussy. But she said, oh, well, if they saw it, the maintenance people, they probably just threw it away. I was like, oh, they threw that away. Oh, but they didn't throw the actual fucking trash can by the fucking tennis courts. They didn't throw that away. They didn't throw the trash or the people that hang out by the pool at 1 a.m., even though technically not. I don't care if people hang out by the pool, but all the trash and shit they leave, they didn't throw that shit away, though, huh? But this fucking workout cup, this plastic workout cup, not plastic, it's probably like slight metal and shit, has a label. It looks actually more high quality. It shakes pretty well. And you guys throw that fucking away? Oh, okay. So the complex threw my shaker away, huh? I know you want me to just shake it off. But I just can't. It didn't sit right with me. Your boy was already still waiting for my vehicle, walking to work every day. The bottom of my feet are swollen like a motherfucker. Things are not swell. And I'm like, damn, one thing after another. And it's also my work drinking cup. Because it's plastic, it's sturdy, it's easy to carry. But no, it's not easy to carry? The fucking pain in the asses from these motherfuckers. The justification that you can throw my shit away, but then I literally walk outside my fucking door, go down the steps, and I see like a dead little squirrel just have 1,000 fucking ants running a train on it. But my cup is such an inconvenience where you're like, this has got to be thrown away. Like, fuck you. That's all I get, Did I mention I got tanned? Like, I got really tanned. Natural tan. Not like that weird, hey, I just got a membership at Planet Fitness and I'm going to abuse the tanning bed like 3 times a week type of shit. Like, no, I got a natural tan. And I forgot, like, damn. I'm the tan man, Superman. And I also made an impulse decision. Here's also the problem. The first day you get something back, whether it's your kid, your car, you kind of go on a spending binge. And I didn't go on a binge, but since the irresponsibility of someone throwing away my free shaker I got 3 years ago, I had to go buy another shaker. So where did I go? Went to the vitamin shop. I was like, you know what? I'm going to get a shaker. I had to go work out. Things are getting back in the routine. I have a day off, and I'm going to enjoy the fucking day off. And I went and got a shaker. And on the way out, here's the problem with these stores, man. They get you. You're just walking around. You're walking past you. You're like, what is this weight isolate? I know what weight isolate is. Because remember that workout program through the bullshit gym back in the day I work out anytime? Yeah, they used to make it like, a part of this program is you got to spend $30 and get this weight isolate. You got to get this. You got to go and get this HelloFresh program. You got to eat bison. You got to eat this and veggies and fruit at every 15 times a day. It's like, do you guys just have a deal with the fucking grocery store and these fucking companies to buy these specific ISO-pure bullshit? It's like, you're asking me to spend $90 just on powders a month. Plus, I have to pay for the food, which costs hundreds and hundreds of dollars a month. Plus, I'm paying you guys for the workout program when, honestly, you guys show up late. It's 25 and 30 minutes. Like, you guys don't have more than 30 minutes to fucking give me. And it wasn't even that intense. It was only intense because I was out of shape. Now I'd be like, what the fuck is this? I understand you're supposed to provide motivation, but you weren't like David Goggins motivation out here. You're just like, come on, you got it in you. It's like, yeah, I know I got it in me. And you're not getting it out of me. All right, get it out of me. But on the way out, when I was at the vitamin shop, this has just become the diary podcast. But hey, it's been a week. Getting back in the potting shape. On the way out, I was hey, on the way out, 25 show, check the payout. And this whey isolate protein costs $35, but I saw the flavor and I had to do them. It was apple cinnamon cereal. And I was like, damn, your boys would get out to get Apple Jacked. Oh, I found it interesting. They put the picture of Apple Jacks, like the orange and green circle loops of the Apple Jacks, but yet they put apple cinnamon cereal. It's like, come on, we know what the fuck you're doing. And let me tell you what it tastes like. It tastes like Apple Jacks. If I'm Apple Jacks, I'm jacking a lawsuit to you and say, you be the apple of my iPod. That didn't even make sense. But you get, yeah, I don't know. A little out of it. But yeah. And it tastes like Apple Jacks. And the audacity. And they got me. $15 for this fucking bullshit shaker. $30 for the isolate. And I ended up spending $54. That's how they get you. All because I had my car to do it. And all because some asshole fucking stole my shaker or threw it away. So if you didn't steal the shaker, I probably don't even go to Vitamin Shop and like try to convince myself like, you know what, I need more protein. I want to see if the protein powder actually does shit. Because I've never been a big protein or creatine guy. The most I've ever really done is like pre-workout. And you know, I only did the protein powder for that workout program that ended up being useless because I wasn't motivated, to be honest. So that's on me. But now with my routine and shit, like I want to see the benefits of being on protein powder when you're actually doing shit to make protein powder worthwhile. So yeah, I guess we about to see what goes on there. So, now that we're 27 minutes in, enough of me. Alright. Let's talk about the elephant in the room, as I've probably kind of alluded to earlier a few times. So, obviously the Roe V Wade has been overturned, even though if you actually look into the history of, I found a lot of this out in the past couple weeks. The Roe v. Wade, abortion was actually created it was ironically, abortion was created by men. The laws were created by men. Feminism is actually a men-driven thing that men actually wanted. So they didn't, as I joked about my car being the child that I didn't want to deal with, it was kind of excuse to kind of bring out the shittiest parts of men to justify shitty aspects. And when you hear about Planned Parenthood is actually built and essentially infiltrated by men. Funded by men. It wasn't really a woman empowering thing. It's kind of interesting when you break it down. But anyways, the Roe v. Wade being overturned, basically abortion is state by state. It doesn't mean technically that abortion can't be a thing. It's just now it's not worldwide, it's not nationwide where technically you have legal right to do it, but it could be very specific parts where it's more accepting than others and shit like that, where it's basically legal nationwide, but you gotta be careful where you go about and do it. Where now it's state by state, and a lot of states are like, yeah, fuck that nationwide, we have to let you have it. It's not happening here. It's not happening here. But there's still states where you have to do it, where you can do it, I should say, and it's less and less. And like, I don't think it really changes a whole lot more than before because people were traveling out of state to get it done before if they didn't have clinics in their state that did it. So in terms of that, now maybe you have to drive a little farther, maybe. But, if you're going to go that route anyways, if you're looking for, as fucked up as it sounds, cost effectiveness to not have a child or have a child, you're still saving money in the long run. Not that I look at children like that, but I understand why people do it. And I'll say this, right? And I think my personal opinion, and my opinion about this has evolved over time. And I'm not ashamed to admit that at one point in time, like, I used to be for it's a woman's body and all that stuff, right? I'm talking about like when I was like first made aware of this stuff, like probably 17, 18. Like, I never really felt like I was kind of one of those dudes that be like, it's not a man's right, all this shit, right? But then over time, like, I've kind of gone back and forth. I've kind of weighed back and forth openly and admittedly. Like, I used to be like, for a period of time, but like, I don't know, like, this is wrong. And then at times I'll be like, I understand, like, this is a realistic option for why people, go this route. Not even whether you agree with the action or not. Sometimes the intention isn't always the most evil, even though technically what you're doing is evil. And that's a weird, complex thing, right? It's not just as simple as abortion is murder. Even though by technicality, it kind of is. But it's not that devious intention. But there's still the way you get pregnant, look, it doesn't just happen. And I will say, I hate when people bring up, but what if this person was raped and all this shit? It's like, that is literally less than it's got to be less than like 0.5%, 1% of the reasons why people and women get abortions is because of it was quote unquote a rape baby. That's just not the norm. And like anything, there should always be exceptions to the cases. And even now, and I'll just say it, I am not for abortion. But I will say I don't necessarily look at someone less than for who do get it. I understand per se, but I'm not for it. And like anything in life, you can understand something but not be for it. Like, it's really financially really difficult to raise a child. And for people in the kind of flip-flop back and forth, I know it sounds like I'm still kind of on the fence, and I'm not. But I try to understand through multiple angles. Because honestly, the more poor you are, and abortion and Planned Parenthood is typically, you notice how they're always in poor communities. And there's theories out there, if you want to bring race, and there's theories out there that they're typically in poor black communities to kind of keep black children from, having less and less black children in the world and the way it's infiltrated and all that shit. Like, you can look that shit up. I'm pretty sure there's substance to it. I can't necessarily 100% confirm or deny, but there's a lot of damning evidence that shows that there's a lot of truth to that. So when it comes to that, typically abortion clinics are in very poor communities because that's typically the target audience. If we're going to be honest about it, poor communities, poor people are typically who the target of abortions are. Because what's the number one reason why people get abortions? Because they typically say, I can't afford it. So why typically young women who are 17, 18, they don't have anything in place to really provide for a child. Even if you do have a family structure. It really is a reason. It's a legitimate reason. It's the number one reason why people get abortion. And number two is, I don't know if I'm ready. Well, if you're not ready, you shouldn't have had the dick inside of you. But that's also on the guy for putting his dick inside of you when he ain't shit. So it's on the both of you. Uh, and the reason why I've evolved about why I'm not for abortion overall is that it always seems like the guy, for one, is kind of taken out of the equation. Like, well, it doesn't matter what you want. I think it's my body. It's like, it's also technically mine because I was once in you. I've been in you a lot. And there's a responsibility on both people. And I think that's where it gets taken out. It's just like, I put it like this, right? And this is where people want to get into double standards of men and women. That's fine. Like, there's double standards for reasons, and it's okay. It's just a thing we accept, and that's normal. But as long as we get knowledge that the double standard exists, I'm okay with the double standard. It's okay. It's okay if a woman unanimously just says, I don't want this child. I don't give a fuck about what my partner wants or thinks and all that shit. I'm not having this. And that's one thing. And you know what? Fine. There's just this thing where we kind of accept it where we can't do it as guys. There's only so much you can do. You can't force someone to have a baby they don't want. Now, at least it's not legally, I guess you could really do. Now, let's just say on a simpler level, a guy were to not factor his partner's thoughts on where they live. Just as simple as like, hey, we're going to live here. It's like, well, no, I don't want to live there. It's like, I don't care. It's my money. It's my money I earned and all this shit. Yeah, but we're a team. It's like, well, technically we were a team when you wanted that abortion. And I didn't want that. And I think that's where this shit kind of gets a little... Maybe that's not the best example. But I think you understand what I'm trying to say. Is that the thing that is the number one monetary value for us in this society based off, you could say standards, you could say stereotypes, you could say just our ingrained biological value, what we bring for men is to provide, and provide equals monetary value. And today, monetary is fucking money. And it matters. And the number one way one can get that money is have his baby. Obviously, I'm kind of kidding, but not really. And I know people say, well, a woman is more than just having babies. Like, of course they are. And a man is more than just having money. But at the end of the day, when do we say men ain't shit? When they can't do shit. Well, technically, if a woman can't have a baby, she's infertile. What if we were just say she ain't shit? Technically, the equal value of the double standard spectrum, it would technically be fair. It's an even trade of what makes each gender or sex ain't shit. If you can't do the one thing that you are biologically ingrained or should have the skill set to be able to do by a certain point in your life or in that time frame, then technically by societal standards you ain't shit. Now, it's like if you have money but you choose not to take advantage of it to maximize the potential for your family to earn and to be able to flourish with money, you're doing your family a disservice. You're doing people that you care about a disservice. Now, a woman is more than just having kids, of course. But if you can't have kids, and let's say you're infertile, let's say you just don't want kids, you're making an active choice to not bring life into this world. That's a choice that everyone has a right to make. But technically, someone, if they wanted to be like, they could look and be like, you're technically less valuable to society and a disservice because you're in a position to financially and everything to bring a life into this world and better the world because you are a decent person, but you just don't want kid for selfish reasons. Technically. Because if a guy's selfish with his money, when he has an obligation to provide and better his environment or better his community or better his immediate family, he's doing a disservice to not take advantage of that. And if you want to do on the flip side, even though I'm not for, even if you are a technical single mother, but if you could financially provide, you be a good mother and all that shit. Like it's not a serious thing. Technically, you're doing a disservice by not bringing a child into this world, right? I don't know how I got down this road. But I guess the bigger point I'm trying to make is that one, this doesn't mean that technically the option still is on the table for people. Oh, I know why I went down this road. I guess because the more, even before this stuff happened, I would say for the past 8 or 9 months, ironically 8 or 9 months, because that's how long it takes to conceive and to receive in the doctor's hands. I think when you have a thought that you've gone back and forth in your head for years and years, but then you finally, for extended period of time, you've had a consistent thought on an idea, or whether it's a policy or just a thing that you finally have kind of a firm decision and that's stuck in your head, like, hey, I think this is what I think about this. And I've thought about it for a long time. And I think for the past 8 or 9 months, I've been more on the side that I'm not for abortion. There, I said it. It doesn't mean if you've got one or you get one, I'm going to shit on you and all that. I'm not going, oh, you're a demon, God, because I'm not religious. But I also still understand that I understand why people have to do it. But at the same time, having babies doesn't just happen. There's a process, and people involved need to take responsibility for that. And I do think it's kind of becoming, I do think the thing that abortion incentivizes for a lot of people is that it incentivizes that your poor decision making doesn't have legitimate consequences. It's the one thing where you just get this get out of jail free card, essentially. Now, again, the part I do is that there's still a post hardship that a person, if they genuinely think they're doing it for the right reasons, but it's still hard, like they're going to have to deal with the mental struggle of always having to have that with you the rest of your life. But it's like, hey, this stuff, it doesn't just happen. There's a process in decision making that comes to having sex, unprotected sex, more times than not. And I think it has kind of been the situation, the incentive of abortion has kind of been abused for people who just don't actually they want a lot of freedom, but don't want the freedom of consequence that comes with your freedom. If you want freedom, with freedom comes the consequences with your own decision making. And I think that's kind of where we've kind of gone to society with abortion. And I think maybe this will at least make people think twice, like, hey, it's going to be a lot harder for you to get this shit. If you're willing to go through leaps and bounds to get it, by all means. But, I just think that maybe it's kind of, and I know no one wants to hear a guy, especially a white guy, in today's world have an opinion about this stuff. But last time I checked, it takes a guy and a girl to make a baby. So I think all opinions matter on this, not just a woman's. a guy who's involved should just have just as much say on whether to follow through with that or not. It shouldn't just be this autonomous, this, that, and the other. Like, if it directly affects my life and I'm a reason why this is happening, then yes, I should not only have a say, I should, like, I think maybe there should be some legal involvement. We have legal involvement for everything. How come abortion isn't the only thing? How come it's like one of the few things that there aren't legal involvements of the people involved of what to do? I think that's a weird thing. Like, there's legal involvements for when you bring a child. There's legal involvement when you get married and all that stuff. And there should be. Because the kid, at the end of the day, should be protected. Well, I guess once you're out of the womb, you're protected. You think being inside the womb, you're protected from the world. From the world. The world will scare you. It's like, don't worry. You'll never see the light of day. Oh, Jesus. That was fucked up. Oh, Jesus. But hey, you know what? Chances are most kids you see, the parents thought about it. Like, hey, should I have? I don't know. You know, they say kids are the greatest gift of life. I don't know. Then why do I always see parents like beating the shit and mad at their kids? They're the greatest joy of life. It's like, really? Because anytime you're in line at any restaurant on like a Saturday at 10 a.m., all you're doing is telling your kids to shut up and, hey, get off that. Hey, don't do that. Don't dig your hand in your booty hole in public. It's like, the joy of life. But no, honestly, seriously. My thoughts on this have changed over time. I'm 26 years old. Maybe by 30, I have a complete, more advanced nuance. This is just like my over time of observing of what this has become. It's become, ironically, bigger than life. And it's weird how this has become like the number one thing in America. Like, it's the number one fucking problem in the world. Like, only in America, is abortion probably like an actual thing that you go to clinics for, other than probably like Canada maybe or some shit. But like in third world countries, like abortion clinic, that's not even an option. It's like they're having kids living in huts. 8 or 9 kids living in shacks. Because that's just what you do. Like, you got nothing else to do, I guess. Only in America, realistically, could you have all the potential best resources to raise children. And yet, we want laws in place to not take advantage of those resources. And I guess if you can't afford children, don't have sex. Don't fuck. And I know that's unrealistic, but maybe get better shit to do. It's a responsibility aspect. And I don't think you gotta have a lot of money to be a good parent. But if that's like a big worry for you, I just don't have a lot of, I just don't feel, I guess because you hear people who are so for it and they want to ignore the self-accountability aspect of it. And that's the part where it gets really annoying listening to this shit. I think that's the biggest turnoff. Because like I said, I understand. I'm more understanding than a lot of people who are necessarily against this. And I'm not like this so far out there. Like, I'm so against it. I don't care what you have to say. It's all this shit. But, dude, I've gone about 20 minutes talking about this shit. Woo. But one thing I have tried to at least like bring, it's like, do you understand what it took for this to happen, right? It's not the world's fault that you got pregnant. It's not the world's fault that you're in this situation. This isn't a patriarchy thing. Isn't that. This is an individual decision. This is an individual lineage, a decision you made that comes with freedom And part of freedom comes with this. Is that when you make it, you have to deal with it. You have to deal with the responsibility that comes with it. And I think we want to live in a society where we want to be able to do whatever with no or very little responsibility attached to it. And I think that's where this has it's kind of become a bigger scar on society. Not the general. I hate when people say, "Oh, it's just society." But if you want to really get into what it really is, and you see with a lot of things, no one wants to take accountability for their bad decision making. It's like, I look like, I use the not having my car for 10 days as an example, right? I honestly believe that there's a lot of people in my life, well, not my life personally, but like observing things. A lot of people that I've been in proximity to, people I've worked with, somewhat close friends, blah, blah, blah. Where if they didn't have their car for 10 days, they would be bitching and moaning, going on this. Life's not fair. Jesus, I need this. Oh my God, like what would I do? Life is so hard and all this shit. And then there's people like me, it's like, you know what? Hey, what are you going to do? I still got to get to work. Because you know what? Even if whatever money I make over the next couple weeks isn't going to drastically change my life, you know what will? If I don't keep that job. Because if I don't show up to work, I probably lose my job. So you find ways to make shit happen. And like, hey, do what you got to do. Take accountability for the fact that like, hey, you know what? I should have probably tuned up my vehicle a few times. Should have probably, got ahead of some things. But hey, you know what? Shit happens. And if Pete doesn't, hey, you know what? Stuff happens, Babies just happen. It's like, yeah, I get it. Like, stuff happens, in the moment, all that shit. But if you get drunk driving one night and you kill someone in a car crash, you can't just say shit happens. There's consequences that come with that. You're probably going to go to jail for the next 15, 20 years. Like, you killed someone. Well, I wasn't even trying to make the killing part as a cross-reference, but I'm trying to be serious about this serious topic, and somehow Clint keeps on negating himself, and this will probably lose a lot of fans. But look, I don't want this to be the talk abortion pod, so I'll just round up the abortion talk with this and abort this mission, and to me, this whole thing, the way you hear the biggest turnoff is the way the pro supporters talk about it. It's not that like I mentioned before, I understand it. By the end of the day, I think the biggest thing is that it takes away the accountability. And that's the thing. It's like, well, what are we doing if we don't hold people accountable? I think that's where the shit kind of gets a little So, yeah, I'm just gonna leave that there. Okay. All right. And I'm gonna end it with this. I've been seeing a lot of this NFT shit, right? So across my podcast feed, ever subscribe to a podcast that you've actually never listened to, but you're like, nah, I'll one day listen to it. So I do that with the Gary V audio podcast. This is a weird transition from abortion to Gary V. It's like, you just gotta wake up and grind. The title of one of his episodes, I admit I didn't listen to because the title pissed me off. Because this NFT thing is getting fucking annoying as fuck. Thing said, the title of it was essentially, I am going to tell you why NFTs aren't a scam. First of all, If you have to explain to me why something is not a scam, it's a scam. Let me just help everyone out there. If it's not a scam, people don't have to explain to you why it's not a scam. If you have to explain to me why something, it's like someone that tries to explain to you why something isn't the way it looks. It's like, I know you see everything is down 98%. I know you see, I know you saw me walking in getting butt fucked by your friend, but let me tell you, it's not what you think. Your eyes aren't seeing what the truth is. My anal cavity, it was just, something just wasn't right. I was just trying to get a fitting for this custom sized dildo I was ordering on Adam and Eve. It's like, oh, well, when you put it like that, you know what? You're right, honey. I'm sorry. I was the one misunderstood. But this whole thing of, I gotta sit here and listen to people convince me why I should buy a fucking monkey cartoon picture because it's trendy, because it has value, because other people view it as valuable. But everything in this shit, and when people have to constantly tell you that you don't understand something and that you're the one that doesn't get it, and they always rely on the long game to justify for the lack of immediate returns on something, and there's no real lineage of hope, it's probably because it's just that. There's nothing there. NFTs, here's the thing that people, well, if it was a scam, how would this person make 40 million on this? How would this person make money? It's like, that's how scams work. The few people that are selling you the bullshit make the fucking money. And you get a little bit enough to keep you in. It's kind of like going to the casino. If you win early, you will spend all the money that you won early. Take it from personal experience of winning $900 on a Wheel of Fortune thing, and then blowing it all in the next couple hours. And I was like, wow, this is how they get them. I see how people become gambling out, because you win that one time. Oh my God, it's the fucking greatest. You're like, I literally just pulled this lever, and I just made 2.5 weeks of pay at the time where I was working. Actually, more like 3 weeks of pay. Whew, those McDonald's checks were struggle checks. Whew. And I'm like, holy shit. And then guess what I did? Because this is what poor people do. I blew it. I just kept playing. I kept playing different things, and I didn't win. Didn't win at all. That's how they get you. But yeah, that's how scams work. Someone is making money off of it. Otherwise, there's no point in the thing existing. Everything someone is going to make money off. NFTs are a scam. Crypto, technically it's slightly better, but it's still a scam. All this shit is a fucking scam. Because at the end of the day, you know what's going to stand? Real fucking money. And I understand crypto is a conversion of money and certain banks accept it. Oh, really? So now you guys trust the banks like the banks have never done sketchy shit before? Oh, okay. It's funny how when people also want to trust the banks when it fits their agenda. Oh, okay. NFTs, I'm sorry. If you actually want to die on the hill, then be my fucking guest. But just don't sit here and try to preach to the mass of the common people of why something is not a scam. Because you know what the number one sign of a scam is? Someone convince you why it's not a scam. And speaking of a scam, of scamming the last hour of your life, that was episode 155 of the Often Be podcast with Clint Nelson. Don't forget to like, follow, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell on all apps. And, wow, I just got a text from my manager on my off day saying, hey, did you pick up a shift today? It's like, if I'm not there by now, I don't think I did. Surprise, bitch. I guess I could rush for the hour. Oh, Jackie. Oh, Jackie. You can channel that later. Okay. But yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, suck some titties. And it was nice to be back. And I just hit the hour mark, which means it's hit the road, Jack. And Apple Jacks. And I am getting Apple Jack. Alright, guys. Have a great day. Sorry for the deadly abortion talk. But hey. Gotta row your boat waiting down the street. Okay, Clint. Alright, guys. Have a great day.